Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for making it out to our annual Laveen Quarterly, but quarterly Laveen Quarterly. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Phoenix City Councilwoman Yasemin Ansari, representing District 7. I share Laveen with Councilwoman Hodge Washington. We're going to start with some district updates from each of us, and then we'll go into presentations from the various city departments that we have here joining us. First off, I wanted to touch on some of the work we've done over the last month. It was a very busy February for the District 7 team, especially when it comes to Laveen. We were all over District 7, and first of all, I just want to congratulate the Laveen Community Council on a very successful 72nd annual Laveen Barbecue. It was a ton of fun, and personally, the biggest turnout I had seen. Give them a huge champs for the cow milking contest. So we both had our first time participating and we had a lot of fun. We learned a lot. Also wanted to share that I got to join Merrick Gallego, Goodwill, Arizona State University, and an organization called Hustle Phoenix to join the first circular microplastic recycling plant in the world. It really is first of its kind. It's right here in District 7. And the reason this is important is because globally only 14% of plastics ever get fully recycled. And this facility in Phoenix is going to change that. It's been about a decade in the making. And with some incredible partners, they will be turning old plastics into new objects. So cell phone cases, skateboards, so much more. So they've already had multiple different cities from around the world come check it out to emulate what Phoenix is doing. So really cool, really exciting innovation, very close by. Finally, last month on a very rainy day in Phoenix, this last photo, my team and I joined the Maricopa Association of Governments for their annual point-in-time homelessness count. What that means is basically about 100 volunteers went out together to literally count all of the unsheltered individuals across Maricopa County, and this is the annual count that takes place to give us an accurate sense of how many people are experiencing homelessness in the city, collect data on why those individuals might be experiencing homelessness, what professions they were in, what issues they're dealing with, and offer them services. So results will be coming out in April about the numbers this year. Last month, we also celebrated Black History Month, and my office got to participate in a number of events. We hosted a Centering Black Voices Roundtable at the Greater Phoenix Urban League. Shortly after that, unfortunately, the president of the Black Chamber, Robin Reed, unexpectedly passed away. So I just did want to take a moment to recognize him and his work. Very devastating for the community. We also joined Hike with a Firefighter that was put on by our fire department and our parks department here in Phoenix, and we joined Downtown Phoenix Inc. at Civic Space Park for the Can I King It, which brought together a lot of locally owned Black businesses. At our last council meeting, very excited, we approved a grant application for the Laveen Area Conveyance Channel. If we are to be awarded this grant, it would be up to $5.2 million focused on improving safety and sustainability, mobility, and community connectivity in the Laveen Area Conveyance Channel. There's a lot of residents here who have been active for many months and many years on this issue, trying to bring more funding and investment to the conveyance channel. So very hopeful that this time the federal government will award us this grant. Wanted to touch on heat relief. This is an issue being talked about right now in Phoenix City Council. We have a dedicated Office of Heat Response and Mitigation that is going to be putting forward a proactive heat response plan for the city. But I just wanted to highlight one of the efforts that I've been working on since I was first elected, which is bringing truly chilled drinking fountains to our public parks and amenities. If you've been to our public parks and you've actually tried to drink the water during the hot summer months, you might find that they're not pleasant and not chilled. And so early on in my tenure, I was trying to figure out what we could do to change this, because in Phoenix, with our hot summer months for our families and kids and anyone using our parks, we want to make sure there's access available. So we actually directed our Office of Innovation at the city because it was much more difficult than we had anticipated. And they held a number of challenges outside City Hall. We're hoping that this pilot will be successful so that we can soon have these water fountains available at our parks, community centers, public transit stations, and a lot more. Yes. Finally, just wanted to talk through a few upcoming events that we're hosting in March. My office will be hosting our 3rd annual Mule Roots at Civic Space Park downtown. That's encouraging me. We'd love to invite everyone to come and attend. There's going to be great food, great organizations there, Grammy Award-winning musicians, and a lot more. And we're also working with the Faith Missionary Baptist Church on a community health, safety, and resource fair on March 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then finally, I did want to share, for those who might not know, this is sadly my last Laveen quarterly as your city council member in District 7. As is required by law, I have to step down at the end of this month. So I'm running for Congress to represent this district, so I just wanted to share that. And it's really been an honor to represent Laveen, and a lot more work to do at the federal level to make sure we bring back resources to the area. With that, I'll pass it over to Councilman Washington.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's not that late. Great to see everyone. As Councilman Ansari said, it's always our pleasure to host these quarterly Laveen meetings. We can always count on great attendance, great participation. This is what the community feedback looks like, or input looks like to us. As Councilman Ansari mentioned, we had the pleasure of attending the 72nd annual Laveen Barbecue. I can't say that I placed, but I know there's room for improvement on my cow milking skills, so I will be back next year to try and do better. So, just want to really go quickly over a couple of things. What's new? As a reminder, the redistricting went into effect on January 1st. It primarily affects those individuals that are 43rd Avenue to 35th Avenue from Southern to Dobbins. You may have had a change from District 7 to District 8. Either way you reach out, you will get the best service that we can provide to you. Next up, just as a reminder, the Phoenix voters passed the general obligation bond, which I had the pleasure of leading the outreach campaign shortly after joining the council. I'm happy to see that it did pass. And what you will see here in Laveen as a result of the bond passage, it includes the Cesar Chavez Senior Center, which will be right here on this campus. So thank you to all the voters that supported that initiative in order to help move us forward. We also are going to be working on some drainage problems here in the Laveen area as a result of the bond passage. So thank you again. Third update, I wanted to provide bus stop signage. We did incorporate some of the community feedback asking for changes to be done to the signs at the four corners of 51st Avenue and Baseline. I won't sit here and say it's going to solve our entire problem, but it is a step in the right direction. And I really wanted to say thank you to the Laveen community for being outspoken and coming up with solutions. We all recognize that there is much to be done, and together we can make it work. And then the fourth update is a much happier subject. We have a new park that will be opening very, very, very soon. So Harvest Park is going to be open in the upcoming weeks. As many of you may know, it includes, I want to make sure I get all the amenities right. It will include basketball, bank shot, pickleball courts, sand volleyball, exercise station, playgrounds, ramada. It will feature ADA walk-in paths, lighting, site furniture. Parks is working very diligently to make sure everything is installed and we pass all of our safety checks so that when we open, we don't have any glitches. We are excited, and as soon as that date is available, we will publicly push it out to everyone. Just a few things in the works, so I just wanted to remind you guys of. Thank you for everyone that participated at the DOJ community updates. We've had a series of community input sessions so that individuals know what is going on. And thank you for those that have participated and given feedback to the city in those contexts. Those that have not, you still have the opportunity. The DOJ website is still up and still taking information. Friday, I will be heading to DC to be one of your advocates, our congressional delegation, to ensure that we continue to get additional resources for our community. As Councilman Ansari said, there are some federal funds that we can make use of here in our community, and that will be my goal as I head back to as I head to DC. And then my last one is keep an eye out for our spring event. Our dates, we're still finalizing that, but you will see that shortly. We have submitted, as Councilwoman mentioned, an application. I sent a letter of support for the Laveen conveyance channel, Laveen area conveyance channel, so that we can get some more funding to make that into what the community wants. And that's a great representation, again, of the community getting behind a project, writing up what their vision was, and us trying to execute that. So I really want to continue to encourage that. And then one thing that's not in here, and I only am going to mention it because it was a topic of conversation at the barbecue. I think just about every other person that I stopped and talked to mentioned the Gila Foothills PUD. I just want to remind you that there's an upcoming village meeting on March 18th, and that is the proper forum in which to voice our community comments. So please come out. It's very important, and I want to make sure that each member of the community is heard on what they want. We have great chairs and great leadership leading that mission. So please come out if you have any concerns, because that is the best time for your voice to be heard. Sorry, I'm not used to doing both. And then lastly, as a reminder, here's our contact information. If you ever need us, please do not hesitate to reach out. The QR code, if you want to just scan it, it'll take you to the link tree where you can just save all of the contact information for our office. And we do our best to try and solve your issues in a timely manner. So at this time, do you want to go into? Okay, we're going to start off with our departments, and we're going to start off with our police department.
Good evening, guys. So, Street Racing Task Force. This used to be a huge topic with you guys, and thankfully, it's not so much anymore. The reason that is, the efforts that my squad put out when we first got this in like 2018, 2019, they came to us and said, hey, come up with something to deal with the situation, something that the city, the state had never seen before. We put together some rules and some guidelines of what we wanted to do. We met with the attorneys, and we actually met with council and got legislation approved to change some things for us. There's no sound to the video, but this is one of the things you still see occasionally, but it won't be an intersection full. It'll be one person in an intersection trying to be silly. Side-by-side racing, that'll probably never go away, because that's something that people just get a wild hair and they decide they want to test their vehicles. And right here, a brief summary like what I told you, July 2019, they came to my squad and said, hey, come up with something. 2021, we get the Street Racing Task Force. We work with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, work on some grant funding to be able to do some better things for it. Got an undercover component that was a part of it. Started dealing in the social media portion of it to really lock them down, because that's where everything goes, is social media. They don't talk on just face-to-face on anything. Everything is here. And then there's some small numbers up here, but I'll read some of them to you. So I don't have the most up-to-date for 2024, because they're still, or I'm sorry, 2023, because we're still working on that stuff. But I will tell you, in 2022, when we really got, or 2022, when we really got after it, 3,500 contacts that we were dealing with. Almost 500 citations. The following year, almost 4,000 contacts with almost 700 citations. The biggest difference that we made was when we started working with the new legislation, because these kids, believe it or not, and they were mostly kids, had no problem paying $2,500, $3,000 for all the fines and stuff that we attached to everything that we did. They would constantly show up, pay it, and go right back to it. They would laugh at us on social media. What are these fines? Legislation got passed that helped us be able to take their cars for 30 days when they started participating in this stuff. Suddenly, things changed because they didn't want to lose their cars. That meant something to them. So we had to figure out a way to hit them where it actually mattered, and it was their vehicles. So when we started taking their vehicles, they changed the way they acted. Yeah. If you guys have any questions about that afterwards, I'll be in the back. But literally, We changed the face of it, and I'll tell you one last thing. We started working now because the entire state's now coming to us going, hey, how did you do this? Because like every other issue, it kind of gets displaced when it gets dealt with, right? Well, now it's in the outlying agencies. They're now partnering with us to say, hey, how do we deal with this? So we're the template statewide now on how to deal with these things. But it's thanks to your guys' feedback, city council's feedback, and trying to get some different things passed to be able to be successful at dealing with it.
Hey, Terry, I have a question. How many different,
Again, I think we're waiting until the very end for questions, just so we
but
can get to.
just on that thing that you just said, how many things started in Maryville that went citywide or statewide?
Maryville Precinct's a jump-off point for a whole lot of stuff, and it's a good thing, because we have huge community buy-in, we have city council buy-in, we work very closely with all of you. It's not just the department doing its own thing, we get input from everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And I'll interject really quick before Officer Wing goes on. You have the comment or question cards. If you have a comment or question, you can write it down, and then we'll make sure it gets, Maria over there in the green will relay the questions over to us so we get them in a timely manner. Take it.
All right, thank you all for coming. I'm gonna do this to my commander. Sorry, my commander's in the back, Commander Staffler. We also have the South Mountain Precinct Commander. My LT's in the back. So everybody just turn around, give them a good wave. And thank you, council members, and sorry, Dr. Washington, thank you. Just to start this off, everybody talked about the Laveen barbecue. I actually got second. I lost to her. It was a close battle, but it was my first time as well. We had a lot of good fun. Thank you for Laveen Community Council for putting that together. I already introduced our team here, and this is kind of like a tease. I'm gonna jump the order a little bit, so hang on, bear with me. So I want to get into the main reason why we're here, 51st and Baseline. It's been a topic ever since I can remember going back to the Home Depot there maybe a year ago, outside talking about it. Instead of a quarterly, I'm going to do a year in review. This is going to be a year in review of what we've done, what we've been able to accomplish at 51st Avenue and Baseline. We did 31 outreaches there. So it's not every week, but we try to get out there every week. And what we're doing is we're teaming up with the Office of Homeless Solutions, CVI, and we're going and contacting people. And that can come in a wide variety of reasons or areas. It could be a consensual contact, open air drug usage, drinking in public, but most importantly, it's been trespassing. That's why we're contacting these individuals. And that kind of stemmed from the business alliance that we created before we even went out there to get that foundation set, get the ATAs in place, get the signs in place, so that we can now go enforce the trespassing. But out of those 31 outreaches, we contacted 432 people. Yes, we do arrest people. 47% of the time we're arresting them, and that could be because they have felony warrants or there's drugs or, like I said, they're trespassing. But here's the other thing. 93 people accepted services. So that's 22% of the people are actually taking services, and it's because we're doing it with CBI. They're there right after we contact them, we deem them safe. Office of Homeless Solutions gets called over, they contact them right then and there, and they get a choice really. Is it jail today or is it gonna go get detox today? So we kind of put that on them, and it's been pretty successful because that 22%, believe it or not, that's pretty high when you think about it. Because of the success at 5-1 and Baseline, we've moved our program to the entire Maryville Stray Mountain Precinct. And the numbers do change a little bit, but it's grown from 51st and Baseline to other parts, because there's a lot of 51st and Baselines throughout the city. 51st and Baseline is not the worst, so we're learning and using that in other places. So this is an overall, and even these numbers are outdated because it changes every week. We do these weeklies where we go out and contact people. So to date numbers, it's 688 contacts, 403 arrests, 212 people accepted services. But if you add up us arresting people along with the services, we're batting at 75% of the time we're doing something for that community. So that's pretty huge, right? 4 people in the corner, 3 of them are gone. That's a win for the community. And then now, we go back to, what does this all mean? All this proactive police work is actually reducing the calls for service. So you see total calls for services comparing 22 versus 23. Yes, we are up 10 calls, but those 10 calls are from us, generating calls. You saw the self-initiated calls, the number on the bottom there. So those self-initiated calls account for, hang on. $91 extra calls. So yes, we went out there, we added 91 more calls that we produced. But then the dispatch calls are down, actually 81 calls. So those are the people that are calling 911 because there's a crime going on. So the proactiveness is leading to fewer calls for service. And then what equals 500 baseline has been the least amount of crimes in the last couple of years. So you can see how it kept going down all the way to only 124 calls. And what does that mean now? So a lot of people have heard that we've kind of stepped away from 5-1 baseline because we're using that to other parts of Maryville, Australia. But we still are doing our what we call a maintenance phase, where we're still going over there and checking on it, make sure, you know, it's still, you know, better for the community, right? So the last one we did was on February 8th. I don't know, it was something with the 8th that happened that day. So on February 8th, there was 8 contacts, and then we have 2 people got arrested, but 6 accepted services. So actually all 8, 100% got removed from that area. And it's in District 8, so I don't know, it's a bunch of 8s. So, but, you know, they say the best time to get help or services is when you're at your worst. And so, again, I'm gonna, Office of Homeless Solutions coming up next. So it's the partnership we have with them when we're contacting them, and then we follow up right with them to get these people out of their situation. That's it.
Much. Next up, we will hand it over to Rachel Milne and Sarah McCann from our Office of Homeless Solutions.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to have Sarah McCann from the Office of Homeless Solutions talk first a little bit about the behavioral health engagement teams that we just heard from our police department partners, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about a new project that we've been working on in our Office of Homeless Solutions.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah McCann. I'm a homelessness liaison with the Office of Homeless Solutions. So a lot of what I do is focusing on new outreach teams such as the behavioral health engagement team. So what is a behavioral health engagement team? I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, so I'm sure you've heard a bit about it so far. But it's like I said, a collaboration between us, a contracted homelessness service provider called Community Bridges, and the Phoenix Police Department, who we just heard from. One of our focus areas is on 51st and Baseline, and what we're focusing on there as a service provider is the opioid epidemic and those that might be unsheltered. And that's a key point, phrased on purpose like that. I'll touch on it in a moment. But the primary resources that we offer in that area are treatment and detox, because we do see primarily drug abuse in that area. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on the detox and treatment to address the root issue so that someone can be ready for something like shelter services. I might have clicked too far. Nope. All right. So like Officer Wing stated, in 2023, we had a total of 93 people make the life-changing choice to accept services that day. However, we've had a coordinated effort 34 times from December 15th to February 23rd of this year. So what that means is that 106 people throughout those coordinated efforts accepted services. And the thing that I wanted to come back to is that refusals for services are not always people experiencing homelessness. Oftentimes they have friends or family in the area that provide a safe place for them to sleep at night, but we are still making contact with them and making sure that they're aware of the services that are available. Which leads me to, we partnered with Community Bridges for a dedicated behavioral health engagement team 5 days a week in Laveen. It is a pilot program, so it's in its early stages right now, but we have 4 focus areas that we're working with community bridges on, which I'll read them to you. But 51st Avenue and Baseline, 35th Avenue and Baseline, the park that we're at right now, and the Laveen Conveyance Channel. So again, primarily focusing on those resources for the opioid epidemic and people suffering from substance use disorders. So it started December 1st and went up to February 29th. And within those 3 months, we contacted 212 individuals. So while our team is out there 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, chatting with people, we had nearly 30% positive acceptance rate. And due to that success, we might be extending this pilot by 2 months. I'm going to pass it over to my director, Rachel Milne, now to talk about another project that we're working on, but it's for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. So wanted to talk about those people that accept services and what that means and where people go. As Sarah and Officer Wing mentioned, we've had some pretty good success rates here in this area, and that's really for people who may not even necessarily be experiencing homelessness, or that might be a symptom of something that's going on. But throughout the city, we have experienced very high rates of people entering our homeless service system. So our office has been very focused on creating places for people to go, creating those places for people who are accepting services. And one of the latest places that we are working on and have been working on for the last several months is at 11 South 71st Avenue. It is a city-owned parcel where we are proposing to put an emergency shelter, a place for those people who do accept services, who do want to end their homelessness and work on some of the issues that might have brought them into homelessness to begin with, a place for them to be able to go. So this is an outline of the site. I mentioned it is a city-owned site. It's a big site, 43-acre parcel. We won't be using the whole 43 acres. We're right up here in the northwest corner of around 7 acres of the parcel. It's a former Maricopa County flood basin, so we do have some work to do to get the parcel ready to go for us to be able to build a shelter on the site, including bringing the grading up to flat land. And I do want to point out this is it's zoned properly. The site is zoned A2, which is what shelter must be zoned in the city of Phoenix to be able to offer services. However, as you can see on sort of the right side of this slide there is some residential in the area, and there is an elementary school at 67th Avenue and Van Buren. So these are things that we are working with the community on and addressing concerns that the community may have and making sure that the community feels safe and that we are doing our best to be a good neighbor in this community where there is a lot of people experiencing homelessness currently. In this flood basin, I know our police department has been addressing it, so has my team at the Office of Homeless Solutions. There were people camping right here in this area before we really started on some of the vegetation work as well. And up and down 67th Avenue, we've got a serious problem as well. But again, this is a very industrial area. All of our work and all of our project is over on the 71st Avenue site, as far away from the residential area as possible. Here is a layout of the site. It is going to be completely fenced with a wrought iron fence around the entire site. We will have 2 dorms, one for men, 100 men, one for women, 100 women, and a communal dorm for all of the case management and the office space and the dining. We will be offering all kinds of intense support services, again, for people who are accepting these shelter services and want to end their homelessness. Up at the top, those X's, those are what we call X-Wings. They're made by our local manufacturer called Steel and Spark. They offer non-congregate shelter spaces for people who may be working or for partners who don't want to separate into male and female dorms. We are, in this shelter, we're solving for what we like to call the 3 Ps. Some of the reasons, some of the barriers that we hear that people might not be wanting to accept shelter, and those Ps are property, partners, and pets. So this shelter is addressing all 3 of those. We have ample space for people to bring their property. If they have property that they don't want to part with sometimes when they go to a typical shelter that might limit them to 1 or 2 bags. We, again, are allowing partners to stay together in some limited capacity in our X-Wings. And then pets. We have a dog kennel and hopefully a cat kennel, as I'm a cat person, on the site to be able to accommodate. People don't want to part with their pets when they enter a shelter situation. We also will be offering RV parking. In the community where this is going in, RVs, people living out of their RVs is a big issue, and so we want to be able to accommodate those people, bring in that asset that you own, and come help us let you get the case management services and other services that will help you end your homelessness. So it is intended to be a safe indoor place, voluntary place. However, it will be a resource to our police department friends as they are out enforcing laws, making sure that they're offering people experiencing homelessness a safe place to be if they're willing and want to come and work on their homelessness. Our intense support services will be provided by, it will be a city-owned shelter. Again, it's a city-owned site. The City of Phoenix will be the main operator, but we will have partners, Community Bridges, Inc., St. Vincent de Paul, Circle the City, who will be on site providing services. 24-hour security. At the very, I should have pointed out on the site plan, but at the very beginning, at the entrance to the property is our security gate. Everyone will check in and check out when they come to the site. It is what we call a closed campus site, which means people cannot walk up and ask for a bed or a meal at this site. It is only for the people who live at the site. And those people must be referred via Sarah and her team at the Office of Homeless Solutions, our partners with CBI, and of course our partners with the police department. So a lot of times when people think of a shelter, they sometimes think of what the downtown shelter CAS, and that is a walk-up shelter. That is not a closed campus. People can walk up and ask for a bed at that shelter. That is not what this site is, and that is not what the sites, the smaller sites that the City of Phoenix has committed to opening throughout the city. They are all referral-based, so we don't just create traffic in the community. Again, Community Bridges, St. Vincent de Paul. This site is going to have a workforce focus. St. Vincent de Paul is going to be our partner in providing workforce opportunities for people who are trying to find a job. They will actually become St. Vincent de Paul employees, have jobs on the shelter site itself, have jobs within the community addressing blight. And then the City of Phoenix will be having, we'll have our own workforce program at the site as well, actually connecting people with City of Phoenix vacancies in our city. And then again, some of the on-site services, meals, laundry, medical, behavioral health, so that people don't necessarily have to leave the site to go find these things. We're bringing all of those programs on-site. People can really focus on ending their homelessness. It will be prioritized to people in the area around this site. I mentioned that there is quite a few encampments in this area, and so we are prioritizing people 1.5 miles from the site for this shelter. Our goal is to open this shelter in the summer, this summer. As Councilwoman mentioned earlier, we are in desperate need of indoor places for people to go during the summer months. And so our goal is to have this site open, in part at least, this summer for sure. But right now we're really working with the community directly affected by this shelter. So we're in talks with the community, the neighborhood groups. We're working on a good neighbor agreement to make sure we're addressing all of their concerns. They are helping us draft stipulations that will go right into our use permit if granted. And then we have a hearing at the Board of Adjustments on April 4th at noon, where people can come and provide comments. They also can submit emailed comments to pdd.boardofadjust@Phoenix.gov. And then I think we just set a date for the community meeting, so it didn't make it onto this slide, I apologize. But we are having a community meeting at the Fowler Elementary School on March 21st at 5:30 p.m. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Diaz. I'm the Deputy Director here in the South Division for the Parks and Recreation Department. And I'd like to provide some updates of some of the things that are going to be happening here in the Laveen community. Before I do that, I was just, as I was sitting there and I was thinking that here in a few weeks, this building is going to turn 1 year old. I think of all the things that have happened in this building in that 1 year between the programs, people coming in, utilizing the exercise equipment, these community meetings that make a difference in our community. I'm just very happy for this opportunity to be with you tonight, and so grateful that you guys worked so hard to get this facility. So thank you all. Appreciate that. Some of the updates that are coming, or some of the items that are coming to the community, the Phoenix Place Spring Break Camp is going to start on March 11th and go through the 15th. It's for ages between 6 and 12, and they'll be having different types of games and movies and activities and field trips and things like that during that time. So that'll be happening here really soon. On the 23rd, the Junior Sons Skills Championship, as well as the banquet. We've had our Junior Sons program in this facility, and it's been very, very successful. And we've had a lot of great participants from the community, and they'll be holding some skill challenges as well coming up here on the 23rd. Car seat safety event. This is open to the public. You have to register through, let me make sure I got it right here, Phoenix Children's Hospital. This is for families that are interested in learning a little bit more about car seat safety and provide some additional education as it relates to the reasons why we have car seats and how to put those together and so on. And then Family Spring event, which is really like an Easter event. That'll be happening on the 30th. That is from 10 to noon on that day, and it's free for the community. Participants will enjoy music and scavenger hunts and snacks and games. And then we're going to roll right into, on the same day, Cesar Chavez Celebration Day on the 30th. So from 12 to 2, okay. So 12 to 2, we'll be also holding live music and performances by our Cesar Chavez High School Band and other activities here in the park. So a lot of great things happening here at Cesar Chavez Park and in the Laveen area. Councilwoman Hodge Washington mentioned Harvest Park, and so I thought I'd bring some photos of it. So this here, it's kind of hard to tell, this chair is actually about 25 feet tall. And so it's tall enough for families to do, I call it the social media chair. People can sit on that, take Christmas photos. They can take photos and of the park itself as well. There's going to be ramadas. There's going to be outdoor ping pong. So you just bring your paddles and ball and you can play. There's a stage, a ramada, exercise equipment, basketball courts. We're pushing to have that project done here in about a week and a half. And then right after that, and then soon after that, we'll have the ribbon cutting. But we hope to open the park prior so the community can enjoy it while it's still good weather. It's on 55th Avenue and Samantha Way.
Right across from the Paseo Elementary.
Yes, yes. So, but it's almost done. We're almost there. So, and then I had just one question. Will the new park have bathrooms? So the new park will not have bathrooms. It's a neighborhood park. Most of our neighborhood parks are generally geared to specific neighborhoods, and a lot of times we just rely on people to be able to walk to their residence to go to the restroom. Hopefully that answers that question. All right, that's what I have. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Now we're going to go to the Q&A portion of our program. We have a number of questions that have been submitted, but you can still submit to Maria if you have them. And I believe PD has the first set of questions if you'd like to come up.
While PD is coming, I want to encourage Commander David Salfar to come forward. This is his first Laveen quarterly meeting. He recently started here in place of Commander Heilman, and I just thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to welcome him and to give him an opportunity to say a few words if he would like.
Dark spot here. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming out. We appreciate it. I am fairly new to the precinct. I've been here about 2 months now, so not having an opportunity to meet most of you yet. But this is a great opportunity to see and get involved with the community where you guys live and we are deeply engaged with. But my crew is phenomenal at what they do. They've been here a lot longer than I have. They care deeply about what's going on here. That's why we're out here. That's what they do every day. And they're true professionals. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi everybody, I'm Greg Lieberts. I'm the Resource Lieutenant for the Maryville Estrella Mountain Precinct, and we'll answer some of these questions. I give Terry the hard ones, so I'll let Terry start, and then I'm going to take the easy ones.
So one of the first questions is, what is being done to address fireworks going off at night? It sounds like Saturday guns. So fireworks, the problem with that is, you guys got to call them in. You got to kind of have an idea where they're coming from. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, people have no idea where they're coming from. So the officers will roll into the area to try and look and see what's going on. If it's not going off when they're there, there's nothing for them to address. So unfortunately, it becomes a nothing call. So if you know where it's coming from and you have a good idea, that's good follow-up information to have and to give to dispatch so the officer can, at a minimum, go knock that door and talk to them. And then there was a follow-up. Will there be, this was on 2 different cards. Will there be a police substation like we have for the fire department in District 7? So we used to be 2 precincts. We were Maryville proper at 6180 West Encano, and then they opened up Estrella Mountain over on 99th Ave and Lower Buckeye. We had to combine those because of staffing into 1 precinct. So all of it is Maryville Estrella Mountain. So at this time, there is no plans to expand and make a substation because staffing just won't allow. We are barely at the staffing levels that we need just for Maryville Estrella Mountain by itself. So as of right now, there'll be no substation. And this, how will you police the new Heritage Park to keep the neighborhood safe? So just like we do right now, our current policing model, we have officers assigned to beats that will be assigned to a beat area, and those officers will be responsible for it. Again, though, with the park, it's going to be up to you guys to call those things in. Now, we also have park rangers that are assigned to the parks that are out there on 24/7 rotating across the different ones. They also have, I don't have their emails with me, but they also have emails that you can reach out to them with things you're seeing. Like recently, we've been partnering with them to deal with some of the issues at Cesar Chavez Park, 35th and Baseline right over here, because they've seen an increase in activity there. So make sure you're reaching out to your park rangers for that stuff. And then if you see a crime going on in it, obviously call 911 and we will come deal with it.
Will there be any CCTV there?
I have no idea. That would be a question for parks.
Yeah, just to echo what Terry is saying, during business hours, we don't have a lot of leverage on vagrants in the park. So if you call for vagrants or somebody setting up a tent or urban camping, if it's during business hours, we really can't do much. That's up to the powers that be to change those laws or park rangers to make a change as to us enforcing things. A lot of times we'll come down here, we'll work this area around here. Once they start to meander into the park, they kind of know they're on home base, unfortunately, and we don't want to disturb them while they're just seeking shelter, seeking shade, that kind of thing. We also want to have a, human side to us as well. First one is, I'll do this one as the first one because Terry pretty much answered it. What can we do as a community to get a police station? I'm assuming you mean the Laveen community. Unfortunately, just like Terry said, with staffing, for you to get your own police station down here in Laveen, it's going to be probably long before most of us in this room are gone. I just don't see it happening, to be honest with you. I don't pull punches and get up. I'm not a politician, so I'm just going to tell you how it is. So you're just not going to get it. We're barely holding it together at the Estrella Mountain Precinct, and we've got half our guys working out of the old Maryville at 6180 West Encanto. So we're doing the best we can. We promise if I could wave my wand and give you 3 police stations down here, I would gladly do it. Not to say we would not look into, or we wouldn't be opposed to a substation in a business complex, or if somebody knows a church that's willing to give an officers, a writing room or something like that. That does kind of help sometimes, just so they don't have to haul all the way back to 99th Avenue and Lower Buckeye. But as far as a full-blown command staff police station with 300 to 400 employees, it's just not the cards right now. Next one's about a fire station. We only have one fire station in Laveen. How do we get another one? Again, I can't really answer that one. I'm sure you're aware there is one opening up right around the corner from our police station at about, what is that, 91st Avenue in Lower Buckeye? Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. That one's going to be opening. I can't believe how quick they're building that one. Every day I drive past it, and it looks like they've added on more, so that one's moving along quite quickly. And the next one is something I dealt with pretty much all morning with emails and talking to some citizens and talking to my crime suppression crew and talking to our detectives and our sergeants down at headquarters. Apparently there's been a lot of, this card says shootings. As far as I was aware, it was just shots fired into the air in the neighborhood of, I want to say the Toscana maybe neighborhood. This says 83rd and Lower Buckeye. I got a lot of complaints from 83rd and Broadway area. I'm assuming it's the same group of individuals that are driving around shooting guns off into the air, automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapons. I can promise you that we're looking into that. Once the sun goes down tonight, we will have guys out there in marked cars and in unmarked cars driving through the area looking for these individuals. And like Terry said, unfortunately, a lot of the emails I got today, nobody wanted to come forward with any information. So again, we can only do so much. We really rely on you guys to, if you have any ring footage, any CCTV footage, any suspect description, any suspect vehicle description, anything that you think might just, that's probably too small, that's really not gonna help. It could really help us. We're trying to get some technology moved down into that neighborhood, but right now, unfortunately, our technology is tied up in other parts of the cities. In other parts of the city, they're experiencing the same thing. But I can promise you we're working on it, and we've got not only the precinct detectives looking into it, our precinct officers and crime suppression team looking into it, but we have the detectives out of headquarters that are looking into it as well. Any other questions that we missed?
I'll just summarize it real quick. They're just asking if we're still working with the Gila River Indian community. To answer that, yes, Gila River Health Services and the Gila River PD have participated in some of the efforts at 5-1 and Baseline. However, they are at capacity and I can no longer bring Native American back onto the reservation because they don't have any spots for them. But it's still in talks. We're still working with them, so yes.
All right, thank you.
Now, any other questions? We're done.
Is there any way that the police get some different recruitment things going on? It seems like something that's very.
While it may seem that way, I promise you, they are going every direction to try and find folks.
What was the question?
Oh, so the gentleman asked, is there anything that you guys can do to help us with recruitment efforts or ideas? And what do we have to do to get more police? So we're hiring nonstop. The entire city is hiring nonstop. The problem is finding qualified candidates to actually join our ranks and be a part of that. We've already lowered the standards on several things to try and bring them in. If we lower it any more, the product that you get is not what you want. So we need to keep it where it's at. But as far as what we're doing as a department, we go across the entire United States looking for people. We host things in other cities to try and get people. We're all over social media. Everything you can think of social media, we're there. So we're trying. If you have ideas, by all means, you can email me and I'll send it to them. And if maybe they even pay you for the idea, I don't know. But I'll make sure it goes to you. So if you have ideas, absolutely reach out to us. Because I agree. And you guys drive everything. Trust me, you drive everything. So your voice is what matters. But background packets, we used to have that like third or fourth in line with everything we did. Now it's number 2 because the background is what's holding a lot of people back. So qualified candidates is what we need. We need people with a good background because we're held to a higher standard. And if something makes the media, you don't want the person that's got 70 complaints for all the stuff that they did in their past up there in front of them, right? So we need to keep our standards where they are, but we are trying like crazy to hire. If you have other ideas, please send it to us and help us out.
What's the biggest struggle for getting new people?
Background.
But I mean, so how can we get people with a decent background to get in?
Spread the word that it's awesome. We have the highest wage in the state right now for police as far as hiring goes. I mean, we've done everything. The city has done everything to try and elevate it to a spot where it's attractive to people to come over. But otherwise, I don't know what else we could do. Go ahead, Ken.
No. Everybody has to see something, report it. If something happens, report it. If you don't report it, there's no crime. If there's no report, there's no crime.
So what Kim is saying is
Something that's not
reporting crimes and calling. So where that comes into play as far as officers go, the department is very big on bringing resources to where the need is. It's not based on we have 7 precincts, so it's even across 7 precincts. The calls for service are what drive the amount of officers that we get. So if the calls aren't there, they're going to send those officers as they come out of the officer training program to other precincts. So it's very important, even for the little stuff that you might say, oh, that's stupid, I don't want to call. It's not stupid, it matters, because it's going to bring those resources to your area. Yes, ma'am.
On that same note, when you put it out on the social media apps, the Ring or whatever app, call police. It doesn't help us. We look at that, but that's not what's driving our efforts. So please, like Terry said, call that stuff in. It's important.
And I don't want to take up all the time, so one last question was right over here.
So, thinking about recruitment, I know that Phoenix Union has that Franklin Police and Fire. Are you guys, like, is there an incentive for those kids who are graduating from their police program to kind of like funnel to you guys?
So we work with them all the time. We actually do events with that school. So yes, there is stuff that's there. We also have programs with cadets and everything else. Because the hardest part for becoming an officer is you got to be 21, right? So there's that time after high school where you're left to your own devices to do certain things, and we need to keep you on some kind of a path. That cadet program is a great program to kind of keep you there. We also have the police assistant program. So you can get hired with the city at 18 as a police assistant, which again, gets you a job, gets you into the city, gets you that background, but it also keeps you accountable to where you want to go. Because again, young folks, our hormones are going nuts. We make bad decisions, right? And that's the stuff that keeps them from being police officers. So, right, we made it. If we can do it. If we can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm going to turn this over to Scott. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Hi, my name is Scott Hall. I work for Rachel Milne with the Office of Homeless Solutions. And the last question we have is, do you all offer community court, and will CBI be able to refer people into this? Great question. I'm glad you asked. Our community court is up and going now. It is started off with a bang, with success. I think we already have 200 people on the docket, about that much, but we're already producing the good outcomes. It is a collaboration with the prosecutors, the judges, the public defender's office, our office, and Community Bridges is partnering with this operation. So we're continuing to build on it. We've only been going for what now, about 2 months? What was that? I'm sorry, I apologize. Do I have to repeat all that? Okay, so more than happy to. So do you all offer community court, and will CBI be able to refer people into community court? Just for anybody who doesn't know what community court is, community court's one of them specialty courts where if someone's experiencing homelessness and cycling through the justice system with the city of Phoenix, which are misdemeanors, this court will send them through this court so that we can hopefully stop them from recidivating through by connecting them to resources such as shelter, substance abuse treatment, mental health treatment. We don't want to be punitive and just keep giving people the same thing over and over and have them cycling through the system into the building. We think if we create this intervention with community court, it will help resolve people's issues and put them on the path to success. And it's already proven to do so. We've been going for about 2 months now. It's a collaboration with our municipal court, prosecutor's office, public defender's office, Community Bridges, and the Office of Homeless Solutions. And it's been a real success so far. And we'll one of these future meetings, we'll come and give an update with the data and the outcomes of some of this. Yes, ma'am.
So, did I ask that question? So just in addition to that, right, because I know a lot of people that are out on the street aren't necessarily adding to or got another problem. It could be both things, like a function that with a family, or it could be just a family period that just either got here, got put out, or something. And I just think that it needs to be more options because at the end of the day, I mean, what is the deal, man? Because you don't want to have a situation where you're getting arrested for something and it's not even pertaining to substance abuse or mental health issues. So what's being done about that?
Like they're getting arrested for crimes that aren't related to substance abuse and mental health? Is that what?
No, I'm talking about being homeless on the street. Like they've been displaced.
So our officers aren't out arresting people for experiencing homelessness. That's why when they go out, and a lot of times when they engage with these teams, we're leading with services first. And our officers usually lead with services first. Crime is crime. If somebody's committing a crime, they have to do their job, right? But when it's someone just experiencing homelessness, no, we're not out there citing them for being homeless. They're citing out there when they're committing a crime. So, but people happen to commit crimes who are experiencing homelessness. That's a reality. And this is serving this. So this is just a small little piece to support people that are experiencing homelessness for that population that's already cycling through. This isn't a court going out in the community looking for people. This is a court that's serving people that are already cycling through the system. I used to work at the county with Rachel Milne. We literally had 1,400 people a month go through the county jail report experiencing homelessness. We have a large population cycling through with drug issues and shoplifting and other criminal issues, that this kind of intervention helps stop recidivating that. So this isn't a weapon for officers to go out and just criminalize homelessness. That's not what this is.
Okay, but isn't trespassing quote unquote a crime per se?
I'm not an officer, so I don't speak to that, but yes, trespassing is a crime.
So
But
say that they're out there and just don't know where to be at. Just period.
well, again, if someone's out there and they're in a place where it could be possibly trespassing and they want help, our officers have real-time connection to us, know the resources we have available, just like the resource Rachel presented up here. That's an alternative. They can put someone in a car and deliver them to that shelter and help them, give them that alternative space. It's the ones that are just like, nope, I don't want to go to shelter. I don't want anything you got to do, but they're continuing to trespass where that trespass becomes an issue. And I don't want to speak on PD. I hope I didn't misspeak. And thanks, Andy. But yeah, again, this isn't a court looking for people. There's people cycling through our system, and trespass isn't the main issue. All right. Thank you, guys. Oh, yes, ma'am.
With the new proposed homeless shelter being at its closed campus, is there any kind of screening process for people who are accepted for the shelter? So anybody who has a record of violent crimes or sexual assault on their record?
Yep.
Is it so close to a school and a
Yep. You bring up a great question. Her question is about screening for individuals coming into the new shelter, potentially for people who have violent backgrounds or sex offenders. One of the things is this shelter will not accept sex offenders. We have other locations where they can do that. We really took into account the proximity to school and where it's at, which is why when Rachel showed you the location, it was furthest away possible. Plus the ingress, egress is all the way on that side, down that one street, where we can have a lot of operational control there. So that part won't be. As far as screening for past of assaults and things like that, that won't be a disclaimer, because those are the folks we want off the street in our hands, so we can help overcome those things and get on a proper path. You know, we don't want to be so punitive, because sadly so, a lot of our own shelter population has backgrounds, right? So if we create all these issues that don't take anybody of all these different things, we'd be in the same boat we're in. But the sex offender issue is one thing we're not going to have at this location. All right. Oh, yes, ma'am. Last one.
I had the same question he asked. I had a young man email me, and he said he had a homeless family living in his alley, and he wanted to know what to do. And he said he had gotten hold of the NSD and he had gotten hold of the police, but we hadn't had anything to do with it yet. So how do we get them out there to take care of it?
Yep. So she asked if they had a family member, somebody refer that they had somebody living in an alley and how to get help. That's exactly what our Phoenix Cares program is for. Phoenix Cares is one number, one email address for you, the community member, to be able to refer in for encampments, which then gets our team out there to respond, engage with those individuals, and then give them 48-hour notice that they can't be in the alley, and encourage them to take up, we offer the shelter, treatment, all that stuff real time right then as well. So Phoenix Cares, and I don't have the information with me, but we can get that to you right after this if you don't have it. But if you looked on our website, in the City of Phoenix website, Phoenix Cares, all that information is on there. All right, thank you all.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are going to wrap up. Sorry. I just want to first of all thank everyone who is here tonight. We are grateful to the Maryvale Estrella Mountain Community Alliance, who was originally going to have their meeting in here this evening. They have been phenomenal partners in the work that we've been doing at the city. So please give a huge round of applause to Kim and Jennifer Rouse, Kim Domovich, who you heard them get some shout outs before, because it's true. The work they've been doing for years and years and years, far before Councilwoman Hodge Washington and I were ever here, has really set the stage for all of the positive things happening across the entire precinct. Also really want to thank the 51st Avenue and Baseline Business Alliance, as well as the school districts and all of the block watches and community groups that have been so involved. These quarterly meetings actually started, it was interesting to see the timeline presented by the Office of Homeless Solutions about these engagements we've been doing. We heard you loud and clear on social media and through emails and through calling our offices, so we started doing these quarterly meetings about 2 years ago, summer of 2022. And we're really grateful for the proactiveness of the community and coming forward with solutions. That's how we decided to start doing these engagements where we team police up with our Office of Homeless Solutions, which is also a relatively new office at the city. If you can imagine, we didn't even have an Office of Homeless Solutions a couple of years ago, and now we have a 12-person, 15-person growing dedicated team that works across the city. So I'm really, I'm just happy to see the results of this pilot program, especially over the last 3 months when the District 8 Councilwoman and I decided to invest further funds from the city to make sure that this is happening 4 or 5 times a week. And we're really hoping that this will continue. So please, if you think the program is working well or even more ideas you have around it, please send those and share that feedback with us so we can make the case to the city manager and all of his team that funding should be going towards this. And also these parks that you're seeing, very, very exciting. In 2021, we secured funding for 3 new parks in Laveen. Harvest Park will be the first to open. 2 more are coming as well in the community, which we're very excited about. And thanks to the bond program, a lot more coming to Laveen. Yes?
When is the one in Meadows starting?
Yes.
So Laveen Meadows is at 100% plants, so we're just getting a contract on board. So it's hopefully soon.
Soon.
But there's no possibility that will lose funding when the budget has to be cut.
We have not been told anything like that. No alarms have been sounded around anything that's already secured in the budget getting touched with, despite even the bond, et cetera. And just something that was just mentioned, just another piece of context to know about the city. If you follow, the state level at all, last year, the state legislature cut residential rental tax, which means that the city of Phoenix next year, we had a big policy meeting on this, we'll be losing about $80 million per year in our general fund. Very difficult situation, challenging, and the state itself is facing a massive deficit. And so we're having to have very tough conversations around how are we going to make up the revenue that's been lost? Is there going to be, we're either gonna have to find a way to increase our revenue or look at programs that need to be cut. So also take that into consideration in your advocacy that you do at the city. If there are programs and services that are incredibly important, I don't wanna see any programs cut. I think we need to come up with other avenues to increase revenue because that's a huge concern. Kim?
There could be a nuisance tax for fireworks.
That's the exact kind of proactive solutions that we're looking for. Yes.
First question is, when is the next meeting? And the second question is, what's going to be done? Because I have put that question on the hard and it didn't get read. So my question is what's this new building up the game to be like a Scottsdale when there's no water and no kind of revenue, and you're saying that it's a lot of fun going on. And I want to know what's up with that, because at the end of the day, if it is a game and it's not a Scottsdale and it's not enough water, and I feel like it's time for us to get together and take a stand and see all of the buildings and spaces that are just rotting away, in my opinion, they should be rebuilt and reused. So that's my second question.
Ma'am, I did have a little bit of the general gist I heard is don't want to be a Scottsdale. I didn't hear what specific building you were talking or referring to.
It was on the news before, where in some areas of the thing that's being transferred from the main to being a Scottsdale is the right thing. And what I want to know is why isn't it that abandoned buildings and like dying on property can be used to make sure like things like movie theaters and stuff can be built instead of building up and bring up from the ground up, as well as where you're gonna get the water from for all of this. That's unacceptable. So
So the next quarterly meeting that you're talking about for Laveen?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about development perspective? Because the village, let me finish. The village planning committee meeting is March 18th. So that's the next meeting that's gonna, if you're talking about the Hilo Foothills PUD. If you're talking about the next Laveen quarterly meeting, we haven't scheduled that meeting yet. We tend to do them 3 months out, so we can anticipate probably in the month of June will be the next meeting. Does that answer your first question? Okay. Yes, it's the next Laveen quarterly meeting. The Village Planning Committee is on March 18th.
And that's really the best first avenue to provide input on what kind of development you would or wouldn't like to see. This is something we work on all the time, but usually there's the planning committees and then the planning commission and whatnot that comes through. We know that Laveen especially is a place where many residents want to see new retail and restaurants and quality products, but we also want to preserve the culture and history of Laveen. So it's a balancing act. But that is as the councilwoman said, the village planning committee is a great place to provide input on proposed projects that are coming to council eventually.
And I just wanted to comment on you made a statement about making sure we have sufficient water. I have the privilege of serving as the city's representative on the AMWA board, which is the Arizona Municipal Water Users Association. And I can tell you that we do have water and we do have sufficient water. One of the things actually tomorrow the city will be reviewing is our large water users ordinance that providing specific rules. We already made changes to our residential, ensure that we are preserving as much water as possible, and we have invested in reclamation. We are also doing a lot of things to ensure that although we are a desert city, that we have adequate water. So I can tell you to rest assured that we're gonna have water moving forward. Our friends at the legislature are trying to change our water, our management plan, but so far it still remains intact and we still have a sufficient, 100-year water supply. So I know we may have seen some narratives on social media, but I want to assure you that those narratives are incorrect. I see your hand.
Yes. I just wanted to say, I've been going to the Laveen Village Planning Committee meetings, and I don't know if you guys get reports of what happened there, but the last time it was standing room and universal opposal to that auto mall that they want to do, and it worries me when I keep hearing from you guys and I understand we need revenue, but it cannot be done at the expense of Laveen. So I just wanted to voice.
So I will tell you, you asked the first part of your question. One, I made sure it's in my district. I made sure that I had individuals from my office at the meeting. I was getting updates as to what is going on. There are some restrictions on what we can and cannot do. let's just say that. But I want you to rest assured that your chairs are doing a very good job and the members of Village are doing a very good job of capturing all of those comments. And as you mentioned, there was a lot of individuals, but there was also counter proposals on things that can be done. So it's a negotiation process. It's not going to be, as you can imagine, it's not going to be initially what the developer wanted, but it's going to be some feedback from the community on how we can make it work. If it's not able to make it work, then I'm sure the village planning committee will then make a recommendation of denial. So there are many ways on which we can do this, but the goal is always to make sure that it's a product that both the community and the developer can live with. That is the ultimate goal. And that's why I'm encouraging you, if you have feedback about it, to attend the village planning committee meeting, because that is the best place for you to make your comments. Because if you wait until it comes to city council with an approval, or you've come too late. Yeah. Of course, I don't anticipate it being an easy project or easy process. It's almost 400 acres that have the ability to change the feel of Laveen. I anticipate that there will be some feedback, there will be some back and forth, but this is the process in which I would like you to participate. Go to those meetings, share those concerns. Let's work through this together.
Thank you.
So I see one more hand. Yeah. Laveen Education Center. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, did you get the address? Okay, perfect. All right, I just wanted to, okay, cool.
You can email them, you don't have to go, because they don't have a virtual anymore at all, it's all in person. But if you can't make it to a meeting, you can go ahead of time and submit through email to the people. So you can go online to the city public meeting list, see what's on the docket or the agenda, and if there's something that you want to comment on, you can email them, and that way they'll get your comment and they'll know how you feel about it. And that way, if you can't make it to the meeting, you can still be heard.
And I would just add that the email address is Laveen, Phoenix.gov. So, just thank you again. We'll just kind of wrap up if I don't see any other questions. Thank you again for coming out. I hope that this information was helpful. I'm hopeful that we saw the statistics and the work being done in that area. We did receive a couple questions that were specific to individual items, and we will address those directly. Oh, just a reminder, please call 911. I just want to repeat what the commander said. Emailing the council office is well and good, but your first step, if you see a crime in action, is to actually call 911, not email. Contact 911 so that we do have a record. We don't want, I have already made a plea to the commander. I know he has to make decisions about where he sends his resources, and we can't justify needing more resources in this area if we don't have the calls for service. I'm not saying to make calls for service just so we can get resources, but if you truly see a need, we need to make sure that those are being called in, okay? We also talked about recruiting. I'm gonna do a little pitch for PD also. They have civilian positions, so you don't have to be a sworn officer in order to help them. They have a variety of civilian positions that I would encourage, if you know someone that is interested in assisting, that may be one of the ways that you or community members can also participate. Next up, going through, keep track of all the family-friendly events that we have coming up. Parks and Recreation are definitely doing a great job. We will get the date out for the official opening for Harvest Park. And then lastly, we come up with kind of the topics for the quarterly meeting based on what we feel are, based on information, based on their emails. So if there's a specific topic you would like us to consider for the June quarterly meeting, please reach out to our offices and let us know so that we can try to make sure that the meetings are beneficial and informative to you. In closing, I just want to thank all of the directors and city staff that was here tonight, from our police department, our Office of Homeless Solutions, Parks and Recreation. Thank you guys, and thank you for coming out, for your continued participation, your continued input. We do value your suggestions, as you see, especially in the PD world, that Maryville Estrella is leading the way, mostly or largely in part because of the input and the suggestions that come from you, the community. So our role is to make sure that you guys are heard and we're doing what we can to move things forward. There are some limitations that we have. As the councilman mentioned, we have some budgetary concerns that we're going to be facing. We're going to be working on those in creative ways. But our city manager has assured us that it's not an issue we have to deal with right now. We have about 15 months, so we have about a year where we can figure out how to adjust. But we want to just make sure that we keep you informed on those things, on those items. So we grateful to say on the dedicated behavioral health engagement team that we worked on collectively to get, we saw the statistics. We see that it's making a difference. It may not be going as quickly as some individuals would like, but we are making progress. It shows that we're on the right step. So continue. If you have suggestions, we welcome to hear those. With that, I think I'm going to say good night and thank you guys for coming out.